I make 285, and I had my break-even cost per week. Because now you have to pay DC sales tax, 10% on your total sales.
Wow. Hey guys, so I am outside of Kennedy Street. This is a neighborhood inside of DC, and we're gonna meet a super interesting man. His name is Charles. Not only did he start a business in the community, he was actually raised in this community as well. He's lived here since 2001. And he decided to contribute towards his community by building a product, an ice cream business that has really taken off. He gets lines outside the door. Let's go in the business and see exactly why people are raving so much about Everyday Sunday. All right, thank you, Charles, for inviting us to your store here. And the interesting thing is, you actually said that you've been in this community for a very long time. Is that right?
Yeah, long-term resident. I'm originally from Minneapolis,
Okay.
but I moved to Washington, D.C. in '94, and I purchased my home around the corner in 2001. So I've been in that home exactly 26 years. So
What made you actually want to open up an ice cream shop here?
So, like I said, being originally from Minnesota, a smaller community, there was a black community that was known for opening businesses and thriving. My heritage, my father's originally from Oklahoma, so I know about Black Wall Street. And you know, it's always been in me to be a part of my community. And you know, to go someplace else just felt a little less authentic. So I did want to actually open something in my neighborhood, solidify my part in the community, and you know, be an addition to the community instead of a detraction.
And something about ice cream, honestly, just feels like something that's like positive. It's food that actually put a smile on people's face.
Sure.
Are the customers always smiling when they come in here? Or?
So, a couple things. When I was doing the research to open the business, there were all these facts that, like, when an ice cream shop opens up in a neighborhood, it's just a definite indication that the neighborhood is changing, it's up and coming, right? It's more, you know, so that was one thing. And then also, you know, when people come to an ice cream place, it's either for a celebration, it's a kid's birthday, it's a social event, people bring their girls on a first date. It's just a place that, you know, it's joyous. Like I always say, and you heard me say this, people don't order cookies and cream with an angry face, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to do. So it catches people on the good side of things. And even if they're not so happy, ice cream will cheer you up. It's known to help you live longer.
Yeah. And when you moved to this community originally, why was the move? What was the purpose of the move?
I originally moved from Minneapolis, Minnesota, because I just wanted a bigger fishbowl to swim in. I wanted to be in a more progressive community. I wanted to be in a more progressive city. I felt like after college that I had already done, you know, I felt like Minnesota had provided the safe haven for me to get to adulthood. But then I figured, like, in adulthood, it's like any young man, I wanted to try my skills out in the real world. And so I just felt that Washington, D.C. fit my personality. It's progressive, it's East Coast, it's up and down. New York, 4 hours away, 2 hours of Philly, you know, everything up and down the East Coast. And it's just that progressive city that I loved. So
You don't have to convince me. I mean, like, I've been living here since 2004. Me personally, I was in Silver Spring.
Okay.
And you've seen how that transition's been over the years too. Just like the communities now, people are coming here for work, mostly. Like, the opportunities are here. You know, the community's here. Like, there's so much more than just like, oh, I came here for a job.
Yeah, when I first moved to DC, a friend of mine I went to college with, he's a DC native. He told me DC is I didn't know what he meant. He's like, it's a pen and paper city. But basically what he was saying was, it's recession proof. Like, when the world is messed up, everybody comes to DC to figure it out. And they said, you could sell incense on Georgia Avenue. If you got enough hustle in you, you can make it in DC. So, and I've always seen that. I've seen that firsthand. DC is a hustle city, especially, you know.
You have a few things going on here with these boards. Can we talk about that?
So this is just, it's like a customer type appreciation. The thing that is most special about this for me is that when kids write you a note and say that they love you or they love our ice cream, like, kids don't lie, you know. It's the little kids that really appreciate us.
I remember seeing this note. If you could come in and kind of see this note a little bit, it says, "I'm sorry that I spoke to you rudely and impolitely the other night. I hope you and me are still friends. Coming in the store is one of my favorite things to do, and I love your ice cream." That's he felt so bad that he wanted to write this note.
This wall just speaks to the kids that care about us. So
And whose idea was this originally to put something up like this?
So I used to read stories to some of the daycares down the street. There was a lady, she would bring the kids by once a month, and I would read them a story and give them free ice cream. She took a picture of us, and I posted the picture, and then they started writing notes saying, "Thank you for letting us come and have ice cream." And I just thought it was cute. And then I was like, well, we might as well do it right. So to kind of commemorate some of the little.
Yeah, you got photos here.
Yeah, those are from like our 5th year anniversary.
Camilla, Olivia,
yeah,
everybody from the community.
Yeah.
And you're seeing them grow within your eyes.
Absolutely.
And since you came here like early 2000s, but your shop is you just celebrated your 5-year
5 years
anniversary.
Yeah.
What were you doing in between that?
When I first moved, I had left Minnesota as a business graduate. I worked for Pepsi-Cola. I was one of the youngest sales rep in that whole business division. But once I got into corporate America, corporate it was good, and I thought I was pretty good at it, but it's so cutthroat, and I don't like the politics that go with it. And it's kind of weird because then I moved to the most political city in the world. But it just didn't suit my real personality. So I went back to culinary school. I go to culinary school in New York, Hyde Park.
Okay.
CIA, some people are familiar with that. And then I moved back to DC, and I started working for the Four Seasons right there in Georgetown.
Wow.
And so, that matriculated into one thing, and then I started opening up different restaurants, and I spent 20 years as a chef in the industry. So it was just good to me. And like I said, it's recession proof because everybody has to eat.
Y'all do, but with this kind of store, would you say that some people would say like ice cream if somebody's going through tough times, ice cream, is it seen as a luxury item or is it seen as a necessity?
The good thing about ice cream is that it's approachable, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to make thousands of dollars to come and get ice cream. Our entry level cone is $4.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can afford $4. People afford to go out to eat. They take their time to buy expensive clothes, but like we're none of that. We're sub $5 just to get in. And if you add sprinkles and all the other stuff, you can bring a family of 4 here and still make it out under $20. And I pride myself on keeping the prices low, especially with some of the other competitors, or not competitors, but some of the other ice cream, the big box ones that
Right.
Like their single scoop is $8. Now, I'm not counting their money or saying that what they should charge, but maybe their rent is so high that they have to charge $8. Hopefully, we'll never do that, because these people that you see on the wall that I live in the community with, say hi on my way to the grocery store or see in passing, like they mean something to me, and I don't want them paying $8 for one scoop of ice cream.
Absolutely. And then over here we have some of the flavors.
So this is kind of like this is like our rotating menu. So our problem is that not a problem, but we have 53 ice cream flavors, but we only have 24 spaces to display ice cream. So we always write what is actually out that day. And like we might start out with green mint and orange creamsicle, but depending on how many people like it, that's going to get erased, and then something else will get switched in. So we always change it here. And this actual menu will be it's always on our website. So we update it in the store and on the website.
Okay.
And then we have some hot desserts, like a sundae. A sundae, people come in and what's a sundae? A sundae is ice cream, whipped cream, some sort of sauce, some sort of, like a cherry or sprinkles, right? So we have hot desserts, and these desserts, top 3 flavors in America for the last 20 years. You know what they are?
What? Vanilla?
Yep.
Chocolate?
And
strawberry.
Cookies and cream.
Oh, cookies, not strawberry, cookies and cream.
And vanilla just out of sheer volume.
Yeah.
Like every restaurant that serves a warm brownie gives you vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere. But it's just still the top 3. And then, we got some ones like our bourbon truffle is very popular. Our cappuccino is one. If you don't have Super Kid, the kids will burn this place down. They will. So.
Dang. And they have all these flavors, but interesting thing you said earlier is that the moms are really concerned about their kids with their allergies, right?
Yeah, well,
Working in the industry that you're in, I see a wall over here, and it says all about the allergy charts. Some of even the big companies, I don't see them post this up. Some of them, like, where did this inspiration come from?
So, as a chef and you work in, people will always have these allergies. Something to come out to the table and they'll be like, oh, is there pork in this? I don't eat pork. Oh, is there gluten in this? I don't eat gluten. Oh, I'm allergic to nuts. So I knew that these questions were going to come up. So I just took it upon myself to list as many flavors as we could. and to let you know right away what's in it. If you're allergic to milk, if you can't have gluten, if you can't have egg, if you're allergic to peanuts, so you don't come in expecting to get moose tracks and like, oh, it's this great vanilla ice cream, but then you bite down into a mini Reese peanut butter cup and now you got an anaphylactic shock, right? So the stuff that we know has nuts or peanuts in it, we always ask, do you have any peanut allergy? So, but then this also just gives you, like, some people can't have eggs in their cones. So we let you know what the cones have in them and the top 8 allergens. And so that comes from my experience in the industry. Yeah. And I just said, it just answers a lot of questions that we just don't have to answer when you can come in and empower yourself and be like, I want to stay away from gluten and wheat, and you can see what it is, and then you can make a decision based on what's not on the.
So what actually inspired this wall here? When did you start doing this?
So I wish I could take credit for it. Originally, what I did know as a business person was that social media can help lift a business. So I would take a couple pictures of the kids that would come in and post them on our Instagram page just to get interaction. And then our marketing person, she was like, oh, if you really want to do something that makes an impact, you should do this. And she printed out these first 10 pictures. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's great. And we got so much feedback on it. And then every year we print 10 more of just the people and the kids in the community. And we just try to make it it's basically our love wall.
So the difference between your culinary career and ice cream now, right? Like culinary, I'm thinking a lot of complexities.
Yep.
Like you have to have high knowledge, high skills.
Yep.
People could argue that you're in an industry now where it's more simplified, right? Like your ice creams, you're not necessarily putting a whole bunch of ingredients together. Why did you decide to go into something like this? Did you just not enjoy your time as a chef anymore?
So 2 things. Being a chef is a young man's game. Okay. You don't have the physical ability to stand on your feet 12, 16 hours a day anymore. When I was in culinary school, we all had to turn in these final projects to these restaurants, and everybody did these fancy, elaborate restaurants. And our chef at the time, our core chef, was like, everybody's turning in fancy restaurants. Nobody thought to do a hot dog stand or an ice cream cart. And that always stood with me. And now when I come to work, everything's already made. All we have to do is focus on the cleanliness and the friendly customer service and getting people what they want. And I don't have to go home smelling like onions. I don't need sale chicken after 3 days. Everything we have is already in the freezer, right? So my work-life balance is just so much better. And like I said, I catch people on a more celebratory thing. Like when it's hot, they want ice cream. Okay. If their child has a recital, let's celebrate with ice cream. Oh, we graduate and we're moving to the 3rd grade. Oh, let's celebrate with ice cream.
Yeah, and usually when you get into business, like it's gonna be stressful in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like your culinary industry is known for stress. I mean, I'm seeing Ramsey. I'm seeing what he's doing. It's hot in that kitchen, and you're standing on your feet, like you mentioned, 8-10 hours a day. Was this move more of a financial move, or was it really more so for your health there?
So I love the business. Who doesn't? Everybody, like when you're young, like, oh, I want to start a restaurant. I want a place where my friends can come and we can entertain and do whatever. But I know the realities of restaurant. Most restaurants don't survive until long enough to open up for the 2nd year, right? The costs associated with the ovens and the overhead with just the equipment and the staff. And COVID taught us that, some of our favorite restaurants after COVID, when you went back, the cooks that had been cooking there for years weren't there anymore, and the food was different, and people had moved on and did other things and found other reasons to live and other places and found just really other interests. And the thing about this ice cream is that, like, I can control the product. Like I said, we keep it clean and sanitized. We offer friendly customer service. We offer a product that we feel is deserving of your attention and your effort to get here. And so we'd like to make your effort and the money that you spend here worth it. So we start by making you feel like you're at home when you walk in the door. And the least we can do as just simple humans is be cordial and respectful to each other. And then as a business owner, I want you to feel like, when you come here, you're going to be recognized, you're going to be respected, we're going to see you, we're going to recognize that you're here to spend your money with us, and we're going to give you all the customer service that you deserve.
So if somebody else wanted to start an ice cream the shop themselves.
Mhm.
Would you recommend them to first be an employee and learn from someone else, or someone can just start in this industry without prior knowledge? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, what I did was I allowed the experiences that I had, the knowledge that I knew I could find, and the ability to execute lead me into something that I knew would work if I opened it the right way. So with that, one thing that's important, especially in restaurants, there's a lot of chefs that can cook, but they don't know how to cost out their menus. They just pull a price and they go, this is what it is.
Right.
But with my shop, because I know how to cost everything out, when I serve an ice cream cone, I know how much the ice cream costs per ounce. I know how much each cone costs. I know how much each napkin costs. I know how much each tasting spoon costs. When you try 3 samples and we give you 3 tasting spoons, we're already at 12 cents. I know every inch of my business, and that's important. And then you got to get lucky. You got to know that it's coming, because I had to do research in the neighborhood to know that the median income was going to go up from $1.8 billion to $2.7 billion in the next 5 years. And then you got to be lucky. You got to be lucky, and you got to have a location. So I think we were talking about standards, and a couple of things that we hold true, and I don't let anybody that works here fall below our standard. And our standard is that when customers come in the door, by the time they get to the plant, we're already making eye contact with them. We're waiting to see if they're looking at us, because we want to recognize that they've chosen to come. So we speak, hey, how you doing? Just to let them know, like, we see you, right? And that makes a huge difference. I don't like to be ignored when I go places. I'm kind of hard to ignore. And if somebody ignores me, I know that they're purposely ignoring me. So that's one thing that we don't do. So when I talk about standards, it's everything from the size of the scoop. Like when you first start, every time you scoop one, you have to put it on a scale and weigh it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want somebody to get the scoop that I usually give them, and then I'm not here and you're working, and then they get this scoop that's subpar.
Yeah, that irritate me too.
Right.
Give me my big scoop.
Right, too small or too big.
Yeah.
Too big hurts us, too small hurts you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the standard is, this is exactly where we have it cost out. It's fair, I know it's fair. And because I want you to be satisfied, I know it's more than fair. There's a lot of people that say Mr. Charles is very generous. And I know our scoops are bigger than anybody else's, but it's not even the size of the scoop. It's the fact that we have chosen a quality product. We serve it at the highest of its standard. And that's why we don't do delivery. And we try to give as much friendly customer service as we can. It's ice cream. There's no reason to argue. We just want to give you what you want the way you want it. And like I said, we hold it to that level, and we never fall below that level. We're professionals, and that's the way we carry it.
When it comes to ice cream, how often would you say a customer comes, maybe on a weekly or a monthly basis?
So the good thing about ice cream is that, like when I worked for Pepsi, it's a perfect product because people come in, they consume it,
Yeah.
and then it's gone, and then you want to repeat. So we have fathers that bring their daughters once a week. We're fortunate enough because there's so many neighbors in the neighborhood that we always get, maybe this pocket comes in this week, or they'll be, hey, we recognize you. And it doesn't matter how long ago you were here. People come and say, oh, we feel bad, we haven't been here. We don't keep score how many times you come. We're just happy that you came back.
Yeah.
And so we just treat it that way. And the thing about it is, when I tell you that customer recognition is probably most important to us, is that when a customer who comes here is now family, and when they're family, when they're halfway between downtown and an $8 one scoop, and halfway uptown for a $5 one scoop, would you go where they don't know you, or would you go where when you walk in, we go, hey Frank, how you doing? How's the kids? How you been? We haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah.
You
acknowledge me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference. Because when you go to the other ones, and like I said, I'm not saying anything bad about those big box stores. They're just different, and we're different. And we're not competing with anybody. We're just competing with ourselves to be the best we can be from yesterday. So that's what it is. That's what drives us. One thing that's also important to us is that if you do have like a peanut allergy, and this is what I say about thinking through everything, we have a particular scoop designated for peanut-less ice cream. If you have a peanut allergy, and sometimes it's severe, if you mention to us that you have a peanut allergy, we have a specific scoop set aside to make sure that you don't
That's
right? Exactly.
Wow.
We just want to limit the ability to get you in a position where this good time turns bad.
It seems like so many things with your shop, it was more so about you putting your customer first rather than like, oh, what can I do to make the most money? And
Yeah, that's not important. I used to work for a guy that said he said, if you come up with a great idea, there's way more money than good ideas. And what I pride myself on is just making this a place where you can come, feel comfortable, get treated with customer service, good customer respect, and we serve a quality product, so we're not about, I miss the old days where, everything wasn't a big box store. You know what I mean? There was mom and pop shops where you could go in and, oh, my mom said she'll come back with the money, and, you go home with the products, and then, like, it was a community, it was a neighborhood, it was, people that lived on the block would catch you doing something and be like, I'm gonna tell your mom, you knew you were in trouble, so that's where I come from. And I just want to get back to a little bit of that.
You obviously you mentioned you have like over 50 flavors, but here displayed 20 something, 24 is the amount of flavors. So, I think for me personally, I love caramel. I don't know if you have anything like that you would recommend.
Yeah, so when people are having a hard time, because sometimes 24 flavors can be overwhelming, and you're like, oh, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. And the more you try, like, we'll give samples, but the more you try, the more confused you get. So I like to put you in at least a category. I ask people if they like fruity ice cream, do they like caramel ice cream, or are they a chocolate person? And most people are like, oh, I don't like chocolate, I stay away from fruit, I like caramel. So then we suggest things based on what we know. So what I would do is I would start with our bourbon truffle for you, which is actually a brown butter ice cream here. And so what I do is I offer bourbon truffle to people that say they're a caramel ice cream person. And like I said, it's a brown butter ice cream. It's got a swirl of bourbon and brown sugar caramel, and then you get those chocolate truffles inside. That one's really rich. And what we do with that is I start there with people that don't have an idea. And that's one of the more rich, more sweet ice creams, but people really like that unique flavor.
Cool. Where do you get your product from?
So I get my product. Everybody thinks we make it here, and I tell them that we don't make it here. We get it from a creamery in Pennsylvania, because one thing that when you make your ice cream, which we could, but it gets into a lot of permitting. You have to have a pasteurized milk permit. You got to send in drain samples, because at this level, when you're making ice cream, the ice cream can't fight back. There's that temperature situation where, cow's milk can carry lots of bacteria. So we take all of that out of the equation, and we have a creamery in Pennsylvania that we purchase our ice cream from, and they bring it down 5 o'clock in the morning for us. So
I would love to be able to go over some of the costs, right? You say you know your numbers, you're pretty familiar with everything, and it kind of make or break it for a lot of businesses, right? They can just be a little too friendly with the scoop, or hurt the customer by not giving them enough, right? Just from a perspective, somebody wanting to start their own creamery or their own, ice cream business, how much for a scoop, and all that.
The best way to cost that out is you have to understand what your cost is, right? Your cost of goods, your COGs. Okay. So in order to sell one cone, each cone has 4 ounces of ice cream. You have to take your product cost, which is of a 3-gallon tub of ice cream. You have to be able to break that 384 ounces down into, right? All right, 3 gallons is 384 ounces. I take the cost of our 3 gallons and I divide it by 384, and then I know how much each ounce costs. And then I multiply that ounce cost by 4 ounces, because each of our cones has 4 ounces of ice cream, which is what you have, a half a cup.
Okay.
And so I have a price for that. I take my napkin cost and I divide the cost by how many napkins are in the case, and I know how much each napkin costs.
Oh, you know the napkin count.
There's 3,000 tasting spoons in a case. The case is $75. I divide 75 by 3,000. Each tasting spoon comes up to like 8 cents, right? That's the way it works. And then I put all that together. Scoop of ice cream, 4 ounces, 3 napkins, 1 spoon, 1 cup, right? And then a 10% waste cost. I add all that up. Okay. I divide it by 0.25%, which is a food cost percentage, which means that every dollar we make, 25% of that dollar goes into the cost, and 75% is for, towards our profit.
Well, I've heard that in the restaurant industry, you try to stay under like 30%.
30%.
Right?
But see, this is the thing with restaurant, like how much can you mark up a burger? How much can you mark up a chicken? The thing with us is that we can operate on a little lower percentage than that, a higher percentage than that in our favor, by 25%. So it's just.
So instead of 30, you're at 25.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep. So that's in our favor. We're at 25% food cost versus in a restaurant. If you can keep it somewhere between 32 and 40%, They try to operate in the low 30s in the restaurant. So we're about 25, 26%. Because why we do that is because you've seen kids drop ice cream. If they drop it in here, we just, you know what I mean?
Get them a new scoop.
Yeah.
Okay.
You pay $4 for a cone and a napkin, but as soon as we give you the cone, you say, oh, by the way, can I get a cup? And I can't give you a cup because then you'll need a spoon.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? So
it just adds up.
all those things have to go into the equation.
Yeah.
That's where people fall down because they don't
see that.
They don't see that.
And
Yep.
because, like on your overall square footage versus your
Yep.
usage square footage, what
Yep.
your actual kitchen is,
Yep.
it seems like you're operating in a pretty smaller space, but you
Yep.
don't need as much space for
That's right.
yours versus a normal kitchen.
That's right.
Now, when you factor all that in and the fact that you don't see a whole lot of other restaurants within the street, you mentioned that, right? Your cost per square feet, is that actually taken into consideration based on the businesses around you to see what your,
Yep.
how much it would cost to
break
rent
even.
this
So
space?
what I do is I look at the rent,
Okay.
and if my rent is 18%, or if it's more than 21% of my gross revenue, it's not a good deal. So I need the rent to be anywhere from 17 to 21%. That's a good ratio, right? That way I can figure out my break-even point and how many customers I need per hour at $5 per customer. And then I know, so every day, if I make $450 every day, that puts me at the break-even point where I can pay my rent. That's kind of how you figure that out.
Now, normally in a restaurant, the more seating you have the ability to have can actually add to the value of the spot that you have, right? So you have a 1,000 square foot space, but half of it has 15 chairs rather than just having 5 or 10, right? You can actually make more money because you have more places you can sit down.
Yeah, but
you
that
don't necessarily
requires,
have that here, right?
But see, in a restaurant, that requires more staff, more linen, more silverware, more broken dishes.
Right.
If you can hold it to 30 people, you really in service you need one service staff for every 10 to 12 people. So if you're at 30, you can have 3 service staff plus your kitchen. The ovens are on every day. They're on all day. The air conditioning, when you come in and it's cool, the air is on, the lights are on, you're running the water, all those costs add up. Those are all variable costs, but they're fixed. They go up and down. Like for us, our air condition costs, that's one of our greatest expenses because people open the door all the time and that cool air goes right out. And they open the door.
It's money out the door.
To be like, hey,
it's cash coming out.
Come down the street. Instead of getting together and then they open the door and they all come in, they open the door and they just let all the cool air that we built up go out the door. So everything has a cost. And like I tell people all the time when they want to buy a waffle cone and they say, oh, would you put it in one of your milkshake cups? Well, these cups cost us 25 cents a piece. And I can't just give that to you. Because every time the guy comes up with our cases, he never says, here's a free case of cones or here's a free case of cups. No. So you can, so people know that though. People are aware of that.
Wow. So is it, on a financial perspective, is it better when people buy their food and then head out or buy and stay?
Right. So the longer they stay, the more it costs you. Because if they get their ice cream and they leave, they're using less napkins.
Okay.
There's less cleanup to be made. There's less chance that the kid is going to drop ice cream and you know what I mean? Okay. So this particular business we have enough spaces that if you want to stay and socialize, but ice cream's not like you and I go to dinner, we're going to be sitting for 30, 45 minutes. We're going to be sitting half of that time is just waiting on the food. But here you get your ice cream, if you eat it right away, it's going to last 5 minutes. If you eat it slow out of a cup, it might last 7 to 10 minutes, right? So it's a lot quicker turnaround.
Yeah.
So this is not a long time investment. This is a quick boom, 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 and that's why our margins are the way they are.
Awesome. So back here, just going over some of the things that you have back here you sell. I'm seeing drinks, I'm seeing, can you just go over what things you sell?
You got to always supply water. Okay. Classic root beer float, classic peach float. We keep all of our mixes so we can make our own waffle cones. We keep our sprinkles and all of our chocolates here, and we make homemade whipped cream for our sundaes and for our milkshakes. Okay. You got to have the sprinkles. This is where we display all of our cones. This is where we make our waffle cones. This is where we keep our chocolate sauce, our caramel sauce. This is where we keep all the cups. And you see everything is like in your own kitchen at home. They call it the triangle. Okay. The kitchen, the cutting board, the sink, and the refrigerator. That's the triangle. Here, it's the same. It's our refrigerator, our basically cutting board, and then our prep, right? So I can work this whole line by myself if I have to. I can scoop your ice cream, put it in a cup, bring you up at the register, boom,
So
quick.
you've been here by yourself before?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You got to learn to be able to do that. And so, like in a restaurant, I can't take your order, run
Go
in the
back to the
kitchen, cook.
yeah.
No, self-contained.
Wow.
It's a tight business.
Yeah.
And but I don't make
It's massive,
Right.
the margins,
Right.
but you have consistency,
and-
so you
and-
know.
Right. And if you
Okay.
can keep your numbers consistent, McDonald's doesn't make money on lobster. McDonald's makes money by stacking the pennies. And those margins with the pennies are where they make their money. And that's the same with the ice cream business. As long as we run things efficiently, we can make money on those margins.
And how
Those
much
pennies add up.
does it cost to rent the space, and what's the square footage?
So this is 700 square feet.
Okay.
From the back to the front, 700 square feet. I think it's 725 if I'm counting the closet, and but and we pay DC prices, about $5,000 a month.
Okay.
So you got to take that in consideration before we sell one ice cream cone. 5,000
Every month.
Right.
Every month.
So I have my costs in my mind, what I need to make every morning when I wake up. $285 every day when I wake up. $285
just to be able to.
just to be able to own this place
Right, right.
and operate. Now that's
Operate.
before salaries. That's before the lights and the air conditioning, right?
Unexpected costs.
Yeah, yeah. So you gotta know what everything costs, and you have to be able to break it down. You gotta know, all right, if I make 285, then I have my break-even costs per week, because now you have to pay DC sales tax. If we have a great month and we sell $30,000 worth of ice cream,
Right.
DC's looking for a $3,000 check on a 15.
Is it 10%?
10%.
10%.
Yeah, 10% on food prepared thing.
Is it after your expenses or regardless, if whether you make
10% on your total sales.
Wow. Listen, guys, that means that regardless if you're making money or not, profit, they want their 10%.
10%.
How do you manage that to see which flavors are like, oh man, this is the most popular, people really want it?
Yeah.
Like, are you doing polls? Are you kind of just like, you're here on a daily basis, or are you just kind of like listening in to see what people want?
Yeah, well, you keep your finger on the pulse of things. You got to have cookies and cream. You got to have bourbon truffle. You got to have cappuccino. You know what I mean? Those ones that everybody loves. And then, you mix it in. Banana pudding's great, but sometimes banana pudding goes out of the way and we got lemon pound cake, and then lemon pound cake moves, and then you got peach cobbler, and everybody wants strawberry cheesecake until blueberry cheesecake is here, and then you want the oatmeal cookie. You got so many flavors, and, so that's why when we do change it, and this is one of the things that I love about the internet, we have a QR code, and you look at our QR code and it takes you directly to our menu page. And then you see our menu updated every day. It's nice. This whole internet thing, the tool that it was meant to be, we're trying to use it for. And I don't use it half as much as I need to or could.
Right.
But once again, this is a small shop. We're a family-owned business, and we don't want to outgrow what we are.
But what are some, like you hire 15-year-olds, and I'm sure some of your staff they're even 30 plus. So what's the biggest consideration for you when hiring someone?
So first of all, you have to be like me. The leader sets the tone.
Okay.
If you don't have compassion for people, if you can't be friendly and cordial, if you come in with a bad attitude, that'll be your last day. I don't have to compromise on that. We get lots of people that, oh, it looks great, I want to work there. And they get here and they realize it's a lot harder than it looks. Scooping ice cream is physically tough. It's mentally tough. You got to be friendly to people even when you get a long line out the door. And, everybody can't maintain that fraud if they're not genuinely if they're not personable,
Yeah.
they can't maintain that fraud. I don't just hire people and then disappear. Like, you work with me, I train you. And that's one of the things that are like difficult for small businesses. Even if you're at a point where you're ready to duplicate yourself, now you have to be in two places, right? And so when they talk about building a brand, like, you build a brand by customer recognition and by the way that customers perceive you as a brand to be loyal to. But now you want to build a customer base, you have to put yourself in two places. This place has to have a reputation for what it is and what they get. And then we have to duplicate that into another place, which makes it tough to, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why like Chick-fil-A's are so successful, because they have their standard operating procedure. I have a standard operating procedure. everything should be set up like this. I've got all those schematics and things that could easily just say, here, this is what you do if you want to buy an everyday Sunday franchise, which we don't have, but I know that because I have the ability to do that, and it's all on paper.
So if you had three factors to just consider, right? Education, experience, and just having that right mindset, personality, soft skills. Like, if you had to rank those three, like as someone with years of experience, where do you think those rank?
You know, you've heard the saying, especially basketball coaches, I can coach talent, I can't coach height. Like, you got, you got to, if you're going to, you got to have some sort of height to you. You know what I mean? I can take your talent and do something with it. But if it's not in you, then there's nothing I can do. I can't coach your height. If you asking me what's important out of all those three, the only way to get experience is to do. You have to do to get experience. You have to have the desire to want to use those soft skills to make customers feel welcome, which can be trained.
Okay.
But desire, I can't coach desire. And education, I think education is important. When I went to culinary school, the decision was, do I want to pay to learn, or do I want to work and get paid while I learn? I was fortunate enough to be in a position where I could take myself out of work and actually go to culinary school. It was good in ways because I got a clear idea of what it was in an environment that's all the focus was. But it was bad in a way because it took some of my natural ability away, but it taught me the things that I wouldn't know.
All right, so with Everyday Sunday at this point, like in the next, you've already been in business 5 years, like where do you see this like long term? What's your goals?
So I have eyes on a second location that I'd like to do. It's in the neighborhood, it's a good location, I've scouted it out. Just getting in touch with the owner of the property is the hard part. You know, I know how to get the certificate of occupancy. I know how to get all the business clearances. It's just getting them to agree to a price that I can afford. Number one is getting them to call me back. And then also, you know, eventually what I want to do is be able to, you know, step away and copy and paste and do it somewhere else. But, you know, like I said, that requires a lot of duplicating yourself. But, you know, at this point, my whole goal is to really just continue to serve the neighborhood as long as I can maintain this particular location.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by how much like in touch you are with the community. It's so much more of a business, but it's like, it's really a place to bring everybody together and have like, you know, a happy place. Like you had a hard day, come to Everyday Sunday.
Sure,
I've seen that.
It's specific to this neighborhood. You know, like I said, sometimes we have bigger events and people come from different neighborhoods or different places and they're expecting something that maybe not, that we are not.
Yeah.
I just like to say the people that live in this neighborhood understand what this particular business means to this neighborhood.
Right.
And so I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy that people have accepted us well, and I'm grateful that they've supported us for the last 5 years to keep us in business.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us.
It's a pleasure, bro.
Yeah, I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.